Hey family, it's ACG back again with another episode. So today I'm really excited to discuss on this topic. So I'm just going to go right into it. All right. So today's topic is listen to your heart. In other words, by referring to your heart, I'm meaning the instinct, the instinct that's inside of you that already knows the answer before your mind actually tells you what the answer is. And I feel like that's something that scares a lot of people, including myself, because I'm just now learning how to listen to my heart. So let's get really, really deep into this. Okay, so growing up, right? No one tells you that's your instinct. That's the thing that, you need to pay attention to more than making up stories in your head. So as young kids, we already have that instinct in us. It's nice and it's fresh and it hasn't been corrupted. So kids are really good with their instinct. Not all kids, but most of the kids that I've come across, they're really good at picking up, good energy, bad energy, like they just know what it is. And then I don't know what happens, in the process as we grow up and as life happens, as we start developing our own personalities. It's like we almost forget how to listen to our instincts because we're now influenced by the world and by all kinds of things. So how to get back to that part where you were once innocent, you knew how to tap into your instinct and all that stuff. So how do you know, right, that it's your heart speaking compared to your mind speaking? And it took me, I don't know why it was kind of difficult for me to answer that question like back in the day, because I didn't even know how to answer that. But now when I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, through experience, how I noticed that my heart was speaking was, let me see, I'm trying to find a easy way to explain this. Okay, so how to differentiate the two. So when your heart is speaking, it already knows the truth. So it just gives you facts like, no, don't go there. It's going to be a bad choice for you to do that. Don't do that. Done. It doesn't try and explain like, yeah, because if you go there, this will happen. So it just tells you, yeah, don't go there. Bad energy, bad vibes. Stay away from that. Now your mind comes, maybe I'm just overreacting, or, it's not even that big of a deal. I've been here anyway, so I already know how, things work here and all that kind of stuff. That's when your mind is speaking, when your mind cannot believe what your heart just said, because your heart tells the truth that your mind is just not ready for, So by the time you're almost reacting, your mind kind of says, nah, but is it really true? So how do we learn how to trust the first instinct that comes? I don't know why that's so difficult, but it is difficult, right? How do you trust your heart? By just doing what it says. If it says don't go in that room, don't go. And then later on, probably maybe after a day or two, and then you find out, what was in that room anyway? What was going on? And then you start hearing stories. Hey, something happened here and all that stuff. And then you realize, wow, so my instinct actually protected me because it knew something was wrong and I listened to it. So once you start tapping into that, it's easy to kind of, I wouldn't want to say it's easy, but because your mind will always challenge you, right? But once you realize, no, this is my heart speaking, this is my mind speaking, I think you have to practice. You just have to practice trusting your instinct. And here's the funny thing. In the wildlife, it's easy. They really trust their instincts. They go with their instincts. They don't have time to question, maybe shouldn't I? Maybe I should do this. Maybe you just see them do what they do because they're instinctive animals. We also have instinct, but at the same time, our mind plays tricks on us. So another thing I would want to say is how our hearts know things in advance is beyond my knowledge. Like it just knows. It's so weird because that's spiritual in a way, right? Like how do you know something's not right there? No one said anything to me, nothing said nothing to me. How is it I know something that deep? That means we are spiritually connected in a way, right? And I feel like in today's society, there's so much noise around. Sorry about that. There's so much noise around us, so it's kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It's kind of hard to actually listen to your heart when it's speaking, because I remember the times where I was really, really, in a low place and I was on my own. I remember there were no distractions, life was kind of rough, right? And I just relied on my instinct. Once things started getting better, the world became noisier, I'm back on my groove and all that kind of stuff. And I remember telling myself, don't make the world become so loud in your life that you forget to listen to your instinct, because my instinct brought me out of the mess that I was in. So now that I'm good and everything's right, why would I forget that? Why would I now put that on the side and be like, wow, things are good now, so I don't need, my instinct or whatever to direct me anymore. So I always kind of remind myself to go in a quiet place to make sure that I am at peace, to make sure that I'm listening to myself, to make sure I'm listening to my body. How's my body responding? How am I responding? What's going on inside of me? Because it's good to always check in on yourself, because life can be so fast paced that you miss the signals. And then when things really go wrong, then you get shocked. But I didn't realize, I didn't know, because you forgot or you stopped listening to yourself. You stopped checking in on yourself. So it's always good to always check in on your heart. What's going on. I feel like sometimes we're desensitized as well. So when you're desensitized, your instinct is off, or you don't hear it as much. Because I don't think your instinct can be off. I feel like you can actually put it on like if you don't exercise that muscle, obviously it's gonna like fade away and you're not even gonna trust it anyway. So it can still be there, but it's not gonna be as loud as what's going on in front of you, right? So I feel like for one to actually pay attention to their heart, I feel like you need to be isolated in a way, so that you can tap into who you are. Because if you've never isolated or taken time to get to know yourself, how will you know this is my instinct, this is my heart talking, this is my mind talking? How will you know how you operate? You didn't even take time to get to know you, right? So if you're afraid of being alone, I get it, I understand, but at the same time, there are a lot of advantages that come with actually being on your own and having to discover yourself. And I feel like we need to learn more how to train ourselves to listen to our hearts, because you don't want your heart to be you don't want to desensitize. Okay, let me pause before I ruin that statement. You don't want to get so far away from your heart that you don't even know what's right or wrong. Do you know there are people out there that are so detached to themselves that they don't even know what's right and wrong? And then you ask them, why did you do what you did? They don't even know, because they don't know the difference anymore. They might know the difference, but it's like they're just numb. So when a person becomes numb, don't you think that's time now to tap into who you are? Don't you think that's now time to kind of pull back and say, okay, what's really going on? And I feel like the world is not helping in cases like this, because there's so many cases of depression, so many cases of just people hurting themselves, people medicating themselves, people doing this. And sometimes your heart just wants you to listen. Like, this is what's really going on. So it's good to also have a moment where we just are in peace, in silence. Meditation is good. I know everybody talks about meditation, this, meditation, that, but it's really good if you use it to your own advantage, right? If you use it to get to know yourself. So I mentioned this in the beginning, like your heart speaks the truth that that your mind doesn't want to hear. So whenever you find yourself, right, this is a hint that I've learned from myself, because I was like, okay, I've seen this pattern with myself lately. When my mind is now debating the truth that I already know. How did I even know the truth? That was my heart speaking. So now all of a sudden I have to debate. I remember that I was tested in that area again. There was someone I wanted to have a conversation with, via Zoom or whatever, right? And I remember, I made sure I scheduled the time and everything. I made sure I was on point, on time. I did my part. And this person didn't show up. And then I did see this person online, but they didn't say anything to me. And I remember within maybe like 10 minutes, they just went offline. My instinct said, stay away from that. You did your part. Don't make excuses for that. If this person didn't want to talk to you, they did pretty much that. If they wanted to talk to you, they would have said, you know what, I'm a little busy right now, but I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But this person said nothing. And then I tried to make excuses like, what if, this person was caught up in some accident or whatever? Like, what if something happened? Like I was actually I was actually debating the truth that my heart just told me, like, okay, well, if this didn't work out, stay away. Don't try and do another scheduled meeting. Just don't do all that. Leave that alone. My heart said, stay away from that. It didn't work. Leave it alone. And then I tried to make excuses. And then I remember that day falling sick because I was just trying to like make an excuse about it. And this person was quiet all day, which is not normal, because usually would have communicated by then. But today they were just super quiet. And I finally said, okay. I surrendered and I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to my heart. My heart said, no, stay away from that. Don't make excuses for it. Leave it alone. And I just left it alone. Within a couple of weeks, I kind of let it go. I felt better. I didn't feel sick anymore. I was like, okay, well, it didn't work. So let it go. There's so many incidences where I debated myself out of the truth that I already knew, and I ended up falling sick, ended up hurting myself. So I feel like if you don't listen to your heart, you end up falling sick, you end up hurting yourself, you end up in more trouble than you were when, like, you end up in more drama than you had before. You were chilled now all of a sudden you have this kind of drama because you just didn't pay attention to the truth that your heart said. So why is it so hard for us to listen to our hearts? Because I guess we just try and understand everything. We just want to fix everything. I don't know. I feel like that's a personal question that everyone has to answer for themselves. Like, why do we debate the truth? And then why do we end up in bigger messes than we had before? Because we just didn't listen. And I feel like if you do listen to your heart, I think the fear there is that, okay, what if I made a mistake? What if my heart is lying to me, and what if something really goes bad? But what if not? Right? So I feel like we should tell ourselves, you know what? I'm just going to follow what my heart is saying right now, and I'll figure it out later. But right now, this is the truth, and I don't know why, but this is the truth. So I feel like that's something I'm learning as years go by. I don't know if it will ever be perfected, but it's definitely something that I want to exercise more, because I've realized like I stress less, when I listen to my heart. I feel good when I listen to my heart. Like, things just feel better, when you just go with your instinct and not debate it. It sounds crazy. It sounds weird. Like, okay, how did I know this? But okay, cool, whatever. Let's just go with that. It sounds really good, and it's really worked for me in terms of stress wise. Okay, so let me see. Another thing I wanted to talk about on that. Okay, so excuse me. So we only listen to our hearts, right? When it's a life or death situation type, of which some people won't even listen. They'll be like, yeah, whatever. Like when it's a life or death situation, like sometimes a person can actually snap into their, instinct, or maybe not. At the end of the day, it's a decision. Are you going to follow it or are you not? So I'm going to end the podcast here. I think I have stressed this topic as much as I could, and I'm going to leave it there. But this was an amazing topic. I just felt it in my heart to talk about it because I've been experiencing it lately, and I've been weighing the pros and cons. Like, how come when I do follow my heart, I feel much better, I feel less stressed, I feel good, I don't feel sick. But when I don't follow my heart, I start feeling sick, things go slow, life just starts becoming miserable. So I don't know if any of you ever had that experience, but I have, and I'm just like, you know what, just follow your heart. Um and sometimes you just have to ignore your mind at times. Like, your mind is trying to talk you out of what your instinct is actually telling you. So basically, we're just in war with our own selves because your mind is saying one thing, your heart is saying another, and it's like, who do you listen to? So, guys, this is the end of today's episode, and I can't wait to discuss the next topic with you guys again. So I'll check you guys later. Bye, guys.